skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Let's do that again. Lift every voice. Lift every voice and still till earth and heaven ring. Yes, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Ring with the harmonies of what? Of liberty, yes. Let our rejoicing rise.
Our rejoicings rise
High as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. God of our weary years, God of our weary, God of our silent tears, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy mind led us into the light. Keep us forever in the path, we pray. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Oh, let us march on till victory is won. Let us march on till victory is won.
Good morning, buenos dias. Welcome to Unity of Syracuse. We're glad you're here this morning. My name is Maria Isabel Gonzalez. I am your platform assistant for today. Welcome to those participating via live streaming and to those watching via closed circuit downstairs. Let's open with the reading of today's daily word. Sunday, January 26, 2020, the daily word for today is, let go, let God. Mr. Eckhart, 14th century German mystic, taught, all that God asks you most pressingly is to go out of yourself and let God be God in you. Reflecting on Eckhart's words, I remember that whatever I'm doing, I never need feel frustrated by the limits of human wisdom and understanding. Letting go and letting God reminds me that God's presence is with me throughout every experience of my life. God's love, life, wisdom, understanding, and strength are mine. Even my inner power of release works through me whenever I call upon it. My human self, together with the indwelling presence of God, the Christ in me, brings good into my life. The words that I say to you, I do not speak on my own, but the Father who dwells in me does his work. John 14:10. Well, when I saw the daily word for today, I thought, well, how appropriate is that, since I worked very hard last night to put a huge pan of flan together to share with all of you today. However, after I went in the refrigerator this morning and went to take it out of the refrigerator, I inadvertently dropped it on my kitchen floor. I promise you I'll make it again and I won't drop it this time. I had a choice of either going ballistic which I was pretty close at that point, using some pretty foul words, again, another choice. And then I thought to myself, what good is it? I have to clean this up. It's not going to change the fact that the flan is now covering my kitchen floor, caramel and all. And so why don't I just let it go? Because somehow last night I knew, in somewhere, that spirit said to me, make a second dessert. Never make a second dessert, but I did last night. And so my backup was in the freezer. It wasn't flan, but I let it go. Because if I didn't let it go, it was just going to ruin my entire day, and I didn't think it was worth it. Okay. This is the time where the children, the children are gone. They're not here. This is a reminder for parents of the adults who have brought children to remember that they are responsible for the children once the service is over. And that includes helping them with servings of different things. We have some hot food, and so they might need some help carrying it as well. And now it is time to greet one another. Before we go on to our statement of being, we greet each other with a simple namaste, and you turn to someone. If we could do that now.
So if we could say our statement of being together, now that we have greeted each other, good morning again, for those who weren't here a few moments ago. God is all, both visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with this perfect life, perfect love, and perfect substance. And I would just like to share something with all of you today for our beautiful little piece of heaven in here. I would like you all to know that Unity of Syracuse has the largest people registered to sing in the mass choir today at the Martin Luther King celebration. There are churches there that have thousands of people there. We have 23 people that are going to be representing this community today when we go. So what are we going to do? We are going to let our light shine, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, put your hands together. I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, yeah. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. I saw the light, I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. Whoa, I saw the light, yeah. I saw the light. No more darkness, no more night. Now I'm so happy, no sorrow inside. Praise the Lord, I saw the light. Whoa, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. One more time. This little light of mine, I'm gonna, oh, you sound so good. This little light of mine, let it shine today. I'm gonna let let it shine. Wherever you go, this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. What are you gonna do? Oh, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
And now if you will join us in our statement of being. We did that? Oh, I'm sorry. We did the God is all? Okay. And we did our song. Now it is time for our announcements. I apologize. My vision is blurred and I don't know why. It's age. New members class. It began January 5th, continuing through February 2nd in the 10 a.m. discussion group. All are welcome. See Sibby for books and details. Try saying see Sibby 3 times in a row. Okay. Just wanted you to know that. Please be aware of the ice when you are parking. It's very, very dangerous. Today we have a town hall meeting at 12:30 p.m. The 35th annual Martin Luther King celebration. Syracuse University is hosting their Martin Luther King celebration today at the Carrier Dome. Thanks to all who are volunteering to sing with the community choir. Stay for the town hall meeting and then head over to the event. See Sally for carpool travel arrangements from Unity. Unity, Saturday, February 22nd at 2 p.m. There will be a fabulous Jeopardy game designed by Patty and hosted by Ed and Sheila. Sign-up sheet in the bookstore. RSVP early since spaces fill up quickly, and contact Sheila for more information. Interfaith Dinner Dialogues. Interfaith Works of CNY will hold dinner dialogues on Thursday, February 20th from 6 to 8:30 p.m. If you are interested in hosting or attending a dinner dialogue, registration sheets are in the bookstore. For more information, visit, and there's a website. It's very long. If you'd like to take it down, I'll read it to you. If not, we'll have it downstairs. Excuse me? It's in the bulletin form. It's in the bulletin. Unity 2020 calendars. There are still a few Unity calendars available at the back of the sanctuary. Please remember to recycle the bulletin cover by leaving it in the back of your seat. Leland, did you have another announcement you wanted to make? The donation letters. Donation letters. They are in the back. Okay, so please make sure you pick up your donation letters.
I just want to say, it's incorrect to say in the bulletin that the tea is on the 8th. We had to change it. So, just ignore the bulletin for now.
Yes. You want me to? Okay, so may I have one of those? Thank you. If you see these little cards when we're putting them in the basket, these are our electronic donation cards. So when you see us putting in there, this is what it represents. And what it is you can sign up to donate electronically. So even if you're not here, it automatically comes out of your checking or your savings, whichever one you designate. And this way you know that everyone is contributing, even when you're not here, and even if you just see us putting a card in there. So thank you very much, Joy, for putting these together, because that's a wonderful idea, so that something goes in that basket. Thank you.
And they're on the back table in the green basket.
Please check out the bulletin for more activities that are going on. Welcoming today's guests. I would like to warmly welcome our guests. Is there anyone here for the very first time? Okay. We invite you all to stay after service and join us. We have a packet for those who are here for the first time of a candle representing the light of Spirit shining within you. Attached to the welcome packet is a yellow slip, and we ask everyone to simply fill it out so we can get to know you and then take it downstairs for an additional gift. Again, so you might want to tell your friends beforehand if they come for the first time that we have a couple of gifts, actually. And then again, we invite you after the service to join us for fellowship and refreshments, no flung. And now we move on to our 5 basic principles. On the screen, you can see our 5 basic unity principles. These are the basic tenets of unity. Are there 2 of you who have seen one of them demonstrated in your life last week? Please keep your shares to 1 or 2 minutes. Ah, good. Peter. Right up here. Peter, raise your hand so that we know where you are, please. Thank you.
As we celebrate Martin Luther King Day, I'm in awe of this man who gave his life to talk about inclusion, the acceptance and love of everybody. I'd like to think that Martin Luther King would like being here at Unity, where we try to be kind to one another and to include one another as best as we can.
Thank you, Peter. That was beautiful. Thank you. Anyone else? Well, you already know my flying story, so. And now we have the blessing of the prayer requests. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't see your hand. Pardon me. My eyes are getting really bad. And he's so tall. How could I miss him?
Thank you. I just want to say I had an experience yesterday attending a workshop for restorative circles, which is it was a group of people, a couple dozen people who were gathered to try and implement different ways of resolving conflict in community. And it was really great. It was really resonant for me to see a founding principle of this method is to affirm that everyone is good. And that's great. That's a great idea. But this was a technology, a technique. We're trying to put it into practice with a group of people to resolve differences in that community. And so it was definitely a number 5 that you have to live that principle and put it into practice. Otherwise, what good does it do?
Amen.
To just have that recognition. And I was really excited to get those, see that picked up by a bunch of people. I know they're taking it home to their home communities, and it'll continue to grow.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, amen. And now on the screen, you can see our 5 basic unity principles. Actually, we've already seen them. Boy, I'm really doing well today. Now we come to the service, the prayer requests. Now is the prayer portion of the service. Will the prayer chaplains serving today please stand? Ah, there's Mina. Every Sunday from 10:45 to 10:55, prayer chaplains are available to pray with you, and again after service. I recommend you take advantage of this. It's a wonderful and beautiful experience. Having been a prayer chaplain, I believe in it. And now this time we bless all prayer intentions or requests. Please bring the prayer box forward. Unity was founded on prayer. At Silent Unity, prayer has been continuous for nearly 130 years. If you have not yet placed your written prayer intention in our prayer box, you can do so at the end of service, or you can pray silently with us during the time. Prayer intentions are held in private, in confidence, here for 30 days, and then we mail them to Silent Unity, where they are held for prayer for an additional 30 days. Now, our prayer chaplain will pray.
Good morning. And P.S. Ken is the other prayer chaplain after church, and he's downstairs. Divine Spirit, Creator God, thank you for this time to bless our prayers. We bless these prayers that we're holding on to, and we bless all the prayers held in everyone's hearts. We are reminded, as I always try to do, to be grateful and to be trusting that our prayers are already being answered. Today, we see physically and spiritually the power of prayer. We know that our journey is blessed, our journey is divine, and our prayer requests are divine. As we celebrate Martin Luther King Day again here in our community, we ask for peace, we ask for love, we ask for each individual sharing of all the goodness in our lives. And we are reminded to notice all the little goodnesses and the big ones. And so for all this and so much more, we say thank you, God. Amen.
So just stay right where you are. Keep your eyes closed. Keep yourself in an attitude of prayer. This is for you all. At this table, everyone is welcome. At this table, everyone is seen. At this table, everybody matters. No one falls between. At this table, you can say whatever. At this table, you can speak your mind. At this table, everything's forgiven. There's enough for everyone. So come as you are. Remember that the door is always open. Oh, yes, come as you are. The perfect gift that you could bring is your heart. Oh, so come as you are. At this table, there will be no judgment. At this table, mercy has a seat. At this table, we're all sons and daughters. There's no place I'd rather be. So come as you are. Oh, remember that the door is always open. So come as you are. The perfect gift that you could bring is your heart. So come as you are. At this table, every one of you is welcome. At this table, everybody cares. At this table, everybody matters. So come, pull up a chair.
This is a process.
Well, and I'm going to get a new battery.
Okay, I can't talk until you get a new battery. I'm going to talk anyway, okay? Welcome to Unity of Syracuse. I'm Patsy Scala, and I'm going to be asking you a question today. And that is, what is your superpower? So as you may have noticed, beginning this month, the worship team has been calling on Bible stories to illustrate what we do. Sally told a wonderful story about something that was a little bit fishy, except it wasn't. She told a wonderful, wonderful story. Leland talked about a number of Bible stories related to his family. Now, why are we doing this? I want to just explain to you what the essence is behind the worship team doing this for the next, I don't know how many Sundays, but for the next few Sundays, okay? The unity, international unity theme is 2020 vision for this year. And if we're going to look at everything that Unity offers here with 2020 vision, one of the things that we need to look at is the Bible, right? Now, we do not interpret the Bible literally. We interpret it, we being members of Unity, metaphysically. Okay. How many of you don't know what metaphysically is? Okay, all right. Metaphysically means we take what is said and we raise it up above the physical so that we look for what is spiritually true in the stories of the Bible. And we take it further for you. We take it into your heart. We take it into your own life. So that, as Sally asks many times, where do you place yourself in this story? You can put yourself into this story wherever you want. And that's what we're doing with Bible stories. So, what does superpower and Bible stories, what do they have to do with one another? It's a good question. I'm going to digress for a minute and say that one of my dearest friends is a woman from Louisiana. Her name is Joy Fergola. Many of you know her. She was a member of Unity when she lived here, and she came up to visit about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and she said to me, we were sitting at a little coffee shop, and we were eating sandwiches, and she looked across the table at me, and she said, "What's your superpower?" And I said, "I don't know. I have to have a superpower?" And she said, "Well, we have this superpower group down in Louisiana, and we talk about what our superpowers are." And I thought, okay, that sounds nice, but I don't know what my superpower is. So I thought about it a little bit. And then another friend of mine is doing workshops all over the country on finding your superpower. So I thought, okay, there's something going on here. So I thought about it and said, okay, we're talking about Bible stories. We're digging deep into biblical truth is what we're really doing, okay? And we're digging deep into spiritual truth, the truth that's true for everyone. So how do I combine all these ideas together? And I thought, what was Jesus' superpower? Now, his first miracle in the Bible, recorded in the Gospel of John, was he and Mary, his mother, were at a wedding feast in Cana. And the host, the bride's father, ran out of wine. And Mary said to Jesus, why don't you turn the water that they have into wine? And Jesus, who was a little bit reluctant to show his powers at that point, went ahead and did it anyway, and it turned out to be the best wine that they had ever had. Now, that was not Jesus' superpower, but that was a power of his that, frankly, I don't have. The only way I can change the water in my house into wine is if a guest comes over and brings a bottle, which is nice, but, you know, it's not exactly what happened in the gospel. So then I kept thinking, all right, what were some of the other things that Jesus did? Well, he resurrected from the dead. Now, do we as human beings, have the ability to resurrect from the dead? Well, we have a doctor in our midst, and I would say that perhaps this doctor has at times seen people flatline and then come back to life, okay? But what this resurrection is really talking about is what happens to the spirit that is within us when we pass on from the human life. So I kept thinking about other Jesus stories because I find them fascinating. I like them. He healed a man at a pool who couldn't walk. He hadn't walked in years. He sat by the pool. And Jesus looked at him and said, wilt thou be healed? In other words, do you want to be healed? Then pick up your bed and walk. He walked. This is our third principle, by the way, which really impressed me when I was going through this. We create our reality through our thoughts. If I say, I can't do this service because I've got this thing on my leg, then I can't do this service because I got this thing on my leg. But that's not my truth. Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. A woman, and Sally told this story passionately, a woman was healed by touching
Should be on.
Am I on? Okay. All right. Woo! So I started thinking more about this, not about batteries, but about the Bible stories, and thought, well, Jesus' superpower was that he was God. But, if we really believe that we are one with this divine spirit that is within all things, and this we teach in our second principle, then we are united with God. We have the God spark within us. And I don't want to say that all of us are on an equal level with Jesus, because we aren't. We're still living part in our human selves and part in our divine selves. And the difference was not necessarily that Jesus was God, but that he knew it. He knew his powers. He knew that if he needed to change water into wine, he had the power to do that. If he had, he just had the power to do whatever it was necessary to transfer what was in his spirit to what was in his humanness. And we don't know this about ourselves all the time. We can spout it at church. We can talk about it at church. We can listen to worship team members tell us at church. And then even the members of the worship team go home and forget the power that we have. But we each do have this power, that we are divine light in the world, showing up as each of us. So Charles Fillmore offers us 12 powers each month, a power a month. And when I first started out at Unity, I didn't give this any thought at all. It just was. And then Reverend Edith came, and all of a sudden, the power of the month was the power of the month, and it became a bigger thing. And there was a color attached to it, and I should be wearing blue today because blue is the color of the power of this month, which is faith. And I'm not, but that's beside the point. I just don't have anything blue, but I have a lot of faith. And these powers are there for us. Faith, strength, wisdom, love, the power of power, imagination, understanding, will, order, zeal, elimination, and life itself can be our personal superpower. Now, there are lots of apocryphal tales about Charles Fillmore as he composed the 12 powers. The first one is that there weren't always 12. Sometimes there were 11, sometimes they were 13, sometimes they were 14. He wrote them out in crayon, according to people who have gone into the archives. He wrote in crayon. And he finally settled on 12, probably, allegedly, because there are 12 months in the year. And it's nice to have a power for each month. Now, if I were writing the 12 powers right now, which I'm not, I would add gratitude. I would add joy. I might take out one or another of them, but that's me. That's my thought about superpowers. It's not Fillmore's thought. So being part of Unity, we go with what Fillmore talked about. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the powers of the month, because this is our first month, so it's a good month to do this. I want to talk about what we can expect through the whole year and give examples of how Jesus used these powers and how they are used in everyday life to give you an opening to say to yourself, how can I manifest this power? So today, this month, faith is the power of the month. According to Charles Fillmore, and I quote him, faith is the assurance of things hoped for, a conviction of things not seen. We all have faith in something. We have faith that when we go out on the road, we're not going to collide with other drivers. We have faith that the sun is going to appear to rise every morning. I mean, in fact, the earth rotates around the sun, but we have faith in the concept of sunrise. Do we have faith in the things that we can't see? the things we can't hear. If your trust is so deep that it touches everything you do, if you trust that life will be exactly what it needs to be for you to do what you need to do, then faith may be your superpower. Jesus' faith. The night before his crucifixion, he and his apostles were gathered in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus did not want to go through crucifixion, Jesus the man, and said, if this power, if this be taken, okay, I'm forgetting the first part. The last part of it is, not my will, but thine be done. This is faith, that this divinity within him, this divinity within all things, knew what was right, knew what was best, that his humanity, that didn't want to be crucified, didn't really know. How about the faith of the woman that Sally mentioned, that I mentioned earlier, the woman that touched Jesus' garment and knew that she was healed? She wasn't healed because she touched a piece of cloth. She was healed because she had the faith to believe that she could be healed. How many of us have this kind of faith? It takes work. It takes work. And it takes letting go of work. It takes letting go, releasing, and trusting. The second power, which we'll be introduced to next month, is strength. This is not the kind of strength that we get from lifting weights, although we do get a sort of strength from that. It's the strength to withstand what's wrong for us and to stand up for what's right for us. The strength to stand up for what is right for us. And what's right for humanity? It is a steadfastness. This is the strength always to do what you know is best for all. Do I always do it? No. No. But Maria showed strength this morning when she said, oh, well, the flan is on the floor. I made another dessert. She let it go. That's strength. What about in this world, Greta Thunberg? Talk about speaking truth to power. What about Dr. Martin Luther King, whom we celebrate all week, actually, whom we celebrate always, but we especially celebrate him all week, and tonight at Syracuse University, many of us will be singing in the choir. I'm not one of them, but many of the Unity members will be singing in the choir. There was strength. He stood up for what he believed in. How about Jesus in the Bible? Once he was baptized by John, his cousin. He went out into the wilderness for 40 days and 40 nights. And he was tempted. He was tempted by Satan. Now, what is Satan? These are our thoughts that obstruct our truth, okay? So he thought, okay, if I have these powers, I should be able to turn these stones into bread. He did not give in to the temptation or the satanic voice that is within all of us sometimes. If I use my powers, I could rule this whole world. He didn't give in to that either. That was not his mission in life. He had the strength to withstand temptations. So do we. So do we. We have that same strength to withstand temptations. Now, do I always have the strength to withstand a chocolate chip cookie that happens to be in my refrigerator waiting for me to eat it? No. I don't always exhibit this strength, but I know that I have it. So the following month is wisdom. Wisdom is this deep knowing, this sense that we know something, regardless of what appears to be. It's deeper. It's this intuitive kind of knowing that we have deep within us. Jesus knew that he was God. He knew that if necessary, 5 fishes and 2 loaves could feed 5,000 people. He knew that. Not from faith, but from wisdom, because it was a knowing. We know when we live our 5 principles and when we say our statement of being that we're one with all of this. We know it. And next is, I think, what's a power, superpower for all of this whole church? Love. Yeah. And certainly Dr. King's superpower, love. Charles Fillmore said, and I quote, "Love is an inner quality that sees good everywhere and in everybody. It insists that all is good." So, how many of you see good in everything? How many of you see good in all of the impeachment trials? How many of you see, you know, I mean, we look at television and we say, well, that can't be right. That can't be. Well, maybe it's all happening for a greater good. Maybe. Maybe. This is love, this understanding that there's good in all things. I can look out at all of you and see the good in you. I can find something lovable in almost everything. Jesus could find something lovable in all things. In fact, when the disciples asked him, how should we live? We have these old commandments from the times when our ancestors were aligning with the Hebrew Bible. What would you say about what we should do? And he said, love God with your whole heart and your whole soul, and love your neighbor as yourself. That's all. Jesus' commandment was love. I'm going to digress just for a second and say, love your neighbor as yourself. Most people take this to mean what it does, love your neighbor. But as yourself, that means you have to love yourself too, right? Because if you don't love yourself, you can't love your neighbor as yourself. Think about it. Pollyanna Sunshine is an example of love. She found something that was joyful and beautiful in every day. Now, I have been called Pollyanna Sunshine at times because I can try to see the good in everything. And most of the time I succeed. So, love. We stand in love. We truly do. We are love showing up in the world as each one of us. So we move on a month, and there's the power of power. We're born with infinite power. But then, do we have the power not to give it away? Imagine yourself just waking up in the morning. You wake up, and you are filled with the power that a good night's sleep gave you. And so you lie in bed for a moment, and instead of being thankful or going into immediate prayer or meditation, you say, oh, okay, so today I have to do this, and then I have to do this, and then I have to check to see if I have enough money in my checking account to buy this, and then I have to get up and I have to take a shower, and you have given your power away to what you have to do, and you're concerned about money and the fact that you have to take a shower. You have given your power away instead of claiming it in yourself and saying, I am awakening this morning filled with power, and I go forth to do what is mine to do. Not the will of somebody else. I don't need more than I have. I have what I need. Now, Jesus. He gave up his human power when he was in front of Pontius Pilate. And Pontius Pilate said, they say that you're telling people that, this is not a direct quote, they say that you're telling people that you are the Messiah, that you are the chosen person, that you are the Son of God. What do you have to say about this? In other words, Pontius Pilate was saying, defend yourself. Do something. Assert your power here. What he was saying is assert your human power here, and Jesus wouldn't do that. You know what he said? You said it. That wasn't sarcastic, as we might say, well, you said it. It was a statement that Pontius Pilate had spoken these words, not Jesus. Okay? Gave away his personal human power because he knew he didn't need it. And on the cross, he took his full power and ascended. He gave up his ego power to fully assume his spiritual power. Okay, now we go to imagination. Einstein once said, again I quote, imagination is more important than knowledge, for knowledge is limited, whereas imagination embraces the entire world, stimulating progress, giving birth to evolution. He's right. There's an old saying that whatever we believe, we can achieve. And imagination is a form of believing before the fact. Do you know how athletes train? In addition to their actual physical training, they imagine themselves doing what they're supposed to do. That's how actually speakers train. I imagined myself up in front of all of you saying whatever it is I was going to say. I pictured what it would be like. Imagination is a wonderful, wonderful tool, because what we imagine is what we can make happen. Jesus imagined a world of love, a better way, a way in which people would live only loving divinity and loving their neighbor as themselves. He imagined this. We're still working on it. But we are trying to make this imagination a reality. Next, we have understanding. Charles Fillmore defines this as intuitive knowing, spiritual intuition, the ability of the mind to apprehend and realize, that means make real, the laws of thought and the relation of ideas to one another. In other words, when we understand, wisdom knows. Understanding knows how. So this one is kind of the how of our 12 powers. Jesus was able to help the man at the pool because Jesus understood that our thoughts create our reality. That's understanding. We're able to do what we know we can do because we understand our strengths. So we're going to move on to will. The power to go forth and do what you believe in, regardless of the circumstances and regardless of the opinions of others. Myrtle Fillmore exhibited this power when she said, she willed herself to be well. She said, I am a child of God and I do not inherit illness. She had tuberculosis. She had 6 months to live. She actually lived another 40 years because she willed herself to live. And there is an apocryphal story that when she died, tuberculosis was still on her death certificate. Do I know that to be true? No. I said it was an apocryphal story. Jesus. He and some of the disciples are on a boat. There's a storm. The disciples are scared. Jesus has just walked across on top of the water to be with them. Now, some people say he walked on water because he knew where the rocks were. I don't believe that. But he was in the boat. He was not scared. The disciples said, stop the storm. And Jesus said, peace, be still. And the storm stopped. That's will. Willing for good. This morning I woke up and it was snowing really heavily at my house, which is not unusual except in the summer months. But I said, this snow can't go on because I have to get to church. And the snow stopped. I don't know what it's going to be like when I get back, but that's beside the point. So we move on to order. Fillmore again says, the universe was not created through illogical assumptions of law. Law is its foundation. So this is law. This is the order of the universe, is the law of the universe, the principle behind all the other principles. The entire universe runs on order, except when there's chaos. And the second law of thermodynamics states that pure chaos, left alone, reverts to perfect order. It's a law of the universe. Jesus didn't say, oh, I'm going to do a miracle now. He understood spiritual order, spiritual law, that if he stated something, it would be true. He got it. And then there's zeal. Fillmore's, I love this line. This is probably my favorite line from Charles Fillmore, if anybody can have a favorite line from Charles Fillmore. I fairly sizzle with zeal to go forth to do what is mine to do today. How many of you fairly sizzled with zeal this morning? Yeah? That many? Sometimes we don't even reach marginal excitement, much less zeal. And we use the term zealot as a pejorative. And it is when the zeal is about converting other people to what you think. But when the zeal is like Jesus with the 5 fishes and the 2 loaves, said, well, of course we could, yes, welcome these 5,000 people. I'm excited to have them here. I may be tired. This is Sally's story. I'm just repeating the story that Sally told, but because it made such a big impression on me. Yes, Jesus was acting with zeal here. And then there's elimination. Letting go of what no longer serves us. We did this at the burning bowl ceremony. We released it. So I have a question. How many of you have gone back to what you released at the burning bowl ceremony? Oh, I love this. Nobody. Or nobody's willing to admit it. Jesus released his human life. This morning we were talking about at the discussion group the importance in every principle, spiritual principle, of letting go and releasing. And one of the examples was when you go into a restaurant, you set an intention. The intention is to eat. You pay attention. You look at the menu. You read the menu. You make a decision. You state your decision, your intention, to the wait staff person. And then you don't go back in the kitchen and cook it. You let it go. Our word for today, or daily words if you want to be accurate, let go and let God. Let it go. Release is a very important part of all spiritual principles. We affirm something, but we don't affirm how it's going to show up in our lives. We simply affirm the truth. And then it shows up however it shows up. And finally, there's life. Now, life as a spiritual power is interesting because at first when I heard it, I thought, I think we ought to have something other than that. But I realized then that this life force that runs within us is an amazing spiritual power and does not die when the body does. This life goes on. The biblical example that I want to use is the transfiguration. Jesus transfigured his human life into a life where he glowed with spirit. He became almost holy spirit. Almost holy, W-H-O-L-L-Y, holy, H-O-L-Y, spirit. So those are the powers that Charles Fillmore would like us to have, to claim, to own, to use in our daily lives. So, which one is your power? Let's close our eyes. And I invite you to take a deep breath. A deep, healing breath. And allow your attention to move inward. to that part of you that is most true, most like spirit. And I invite you to consider these powers. Within you, you have the faith to move mountains. Know this. Know this as truth. You have the strength, the spiritual strength, and the physical strength to do all that is yours to do in this life. You have the wisdom. You know. You may not listen to that still small voice, but you know it's there. You have the love. More than that, you are the love. Power. You have infinite power. Pull it closely within yourself. Don't give it away to trivialities. You have imagination. You have understanding. You have will. You have order. You have zeal. You have the ability to eliminate and let go. And you have life. Now for a moment, we're going into silence as you consider what is your strongest among these powers. What is your superpower? And I invite you now to take this meditation home with you, to hold it in your heart, to know that we each have all of these powers and more. As our second principle says, we are one with that greatest power of all. And so it is. And so we allow it to be. And now I invite you to take your tithes and offerings. I cut that a little bit short because I hear the children and they're ready to come up and we have the town hall meeting. So in any case, I invite you to join me in stating our blessing. Divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. You are my source. EJ, can you give me a hand down? We bless these tithes and offerings for which we are infinitely grateful. And we affirm that they bring us the power to do all that is needed in order to be the healing influences of spirit on this earth that we were born to be. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Thank you, God. Amen. And now we welcome our children. Welcome. I love seeing all these people up here.
Yeah, we had a whole tribal gathering today.
Yeah, so what did you guys do? We talked about the 12 powers, all of them.
Cool. It's funny. Todrick and I talked about the 5 principles and linked them all to faith today. So we kind of did a summary as well, like starting with faith and then how everything is connected, and how once we have that faith, we can build on the, I am, I think I do.
Yeah.
And we also talked about a mustard seed with everybody. So we passed out some mustard seeds, and I probably have a few. If anyone hasn't seen one, they are very small, and so we got to handle those and really think about this lesson that Jesus taught about how the faith is the size of a mustard seed, how it can grow into a tree. And I didn't know this, but like mustard seed bushes are like trees that end up being like 25 feet tall. So we had the 25 feet of yarn, and we ran it from like one end to the other to kind of see how you start with this tiny, tiny seed of faith and how the potential grows into that tree, just like our faith can grow. And then we did some cool stuff with beans. We glued, the younger kids glued some beans, and there was a lesson in that as well. So, but yeah, that was it in a nutshell. Anybody else, you guys want to talk about anything?
Well, the lesson with the beans was we started out with not enough beans to do the picture, and that's like the lesson of, you don't have enough faith in yourself, you think that it's
Yeah.
So then we get more beans, we finished the picture, and we talked about the mustard seeds and how a little bit of faith, solid faith, can inspire you to do great things.
It's interesting. When I was going to school, way back when I was young, my friends and I all wore these little necklaces that had mustard seeds in them, and I was thinking about that last night.
So as far as like other YFM stuff, I'm going to ask everybody to check the Constant Contact, because I'm going to probably be putting something out this coming week. I still have to coordinate with Sally, but I understand the board has approved a bunch of fundraising events that we talked about at our teachers meeting last week. And so there's going to be a bake sale and stuff, and you guys will find out about it via Constant Contact. So make sure you guys open up that email. I know some of you don't.
He
Thank
knows.
Okay. Let's bless our wonderful, awesome children. We bless our children wherever they are. We see them surrounded by love and light throughout the week. We have a thriving, expanded youth and family ministry. And now, may I just say something here? Last week, when I was snowed in, I watched a lesson from Reverend Pat Bessie's church in Portland, Maine, because they were snowed in too, and they canceled the service. When she did the prayer for protection, it was the light of God surrounds us, we are the light. The love of God enfolds us, we are the love. So as we say this, let's try and say it that way just for today, okay?
Yes.
The light
Of God surrounds us.
We
are the light. The love of God enfolds us. We are the love. The power of God protects us. We are the power. The presence of God protects over us. We are the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Let this be